So I
think
think,
that's the both of us. I think black women do that, and I think black men do that. I think what
currently,
happens is,
currently, I think
yeah,
what happened
currently, that's what I mean.
currently.
So what I'm saying is that I think most people are speaking from their experiences, and then they use their experiences to generalize and say that everybody is like this.
The black male voice was completely missing from media. No ability to defend ourselves against media attacks. That's one. But then there was an entire narrative out there being pushed by the black women who have had their feelings hurt by black men. So obviously, we know that's actually a small minority of black men that they're all having children by, right? Like whoever hurt Cynthia G's feeling. That's what I'm talking about. So
Okay.
all black men are paying for that dude's mistake. So not only is she making an overrepresentation of black men in that regard. You don't take care of your children. All of you have 3, 4 baby mamas. None of you pay your bills. All of this type of stuff. Before the 2020 census, I would have thought that was true. Until the data came out and it's like, oh, well, most black men under the age of 35 don't even have children. Most men do pay their child support on time. So it's like it's those women who have been hurt by black men pushing this out, even though no one asked them, void of the black male narrative to defend against it. So that's what I mean, like their particular part in playing and ruining the image of black men. So that's only that part. Like I know media plays the biggest part, right?
Well,
Turn on the news right now.
I
So I
think
think,
that's the both of us. I think black women do that, and I think black men do that. I think what
currently,
happens is,
currently, I think what
yeah,
happened
currently, that's what I mean.
currently.
So what I'm saying is that I think most people are speaking from their experiences, and then they use their experiences to generalize and say that everybody is like this. When in reality, your day to day, I think like like when Inaz brought up the point about you noticing, black women staring at you when you went into one space, but did you notice how many wasn't? I had said something similar to that one of the other shows in regards to what happens a lot of times is that when negative things happen, we typically try to continue to, like, is a pattern of continuing to look for that negative thing. And I liken that to the fact, like, when you have a certain car that you really love, like, and I just got my car. Prior to me getting my car, I didn't notice anybody else with that car. Then once I got it, it seemed like everybody had that car. And that was because I was being much more specific in looking for it. And I think that's what the kind of space that we're in right now is, that we're looking for the negative feedback to reinforce what we're already thinking.
Mistaken. Can I ask you a question? Have you noticed, so you understand like propaganda and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have you noticed any in the makeup of family, so men and women, that they put on like commercials and TV shows and movies? Have you noticed any like specific trends in that?
Yes, literally. I think last week, me and my husband was actually talking. He was like, "You notice how you're seeing more interracial couples on TV in the commercials?" And he says specifically, for some reason, I'm just noticing that there are more black women with white men. I hadn't even noticed. I was just like watching. And he was like, "I've just been noticing this." And I think a lot of times, not just with that, but I think with a lot of things that we ingest and watch on TV and listen to on the radio, things like that, I think we're subconsciously bringing all of that negativity into our system that we don't realize it. And then when we're looking at the world and we're viewing our world, it's reinforcing those same things that we've subconsciously been digesting.
So when I see like black men, a lot of times there is usually a black man dating another black man in media. Like when they, like what I've been noticing, it'll be like the black woman and the white man and the black man and the black man. And I mean, outside of the attack on masculinity, I feel like that's another type of attack too. Like personally, that's because we can't produce nobody if that's
Did
what
you
I
see the?
Do you think a commercial of two gay men kissing is going to impact other men to be gay?
So
No,
mistaken. I don't think
not
you're.
men, but children. Like, so right now, I always had this theory that prior to the internet, that they introduced an idea on television. Then 5 years from that introduction, then that becomes the norm. So you get people used to something. Shout out to the 5%ers, but most people are followers. The amount of kids right now that are saying they identify as LGBTQIA plus has, I think they going up at numbers that I love to get on an investment portfolio. It's like 12% a year, damn near, or something like that.
Wait, what's I don't know those letters.
Inners, I don't know. I just know that it's the whole alpha, the most of the alphabet.
I think it's a lot, but I don't think it's as many as people think it is. Because if I look at my school and how many kids come in and out of the school, it's a very small percentage of kids who are, you know.
Let me try to, Shane, I've uploaded
It's a lot.
something.
I'll find the stats.
I've uploaded something, Shane. I'd like to share it to kind of prove my point and about what Marcus is saying about propaganda. So this picture here, if you've all seen it, this is what we're talking about as far as the black male image. That's what I'm talking about, at least. Being propaganda. So what do y'all think about that?
I mean, yeah, I see what you're saying.
I see what you're saying.
So
yeah, go ahead.
But that's not a good look for us, though.
But I saw a picture with Nicki Minaj with her husband, and it looked like he was even though I don't know if he makes more than she does, but the way they had it seated in that picture, he looked like the dominator in the, like she's submissive to her husband.
But see, that doesn't look good for the woman in Rihanna in that situation, because that has been the negative stereotype of black women anyway.
Now,
but I think somebody made a good point. But listen, I think somebody made a good point though. If it's her interview, it's her interview.
It's her interview. Put him in front and highlight her in the back.
Okay, so let me jump in on this, right? Because I think there's a difference between like the norm of what we're seeing and the exception of the rule, right? I think the new normal that we're seeing is that black women are the leaders of the household. Black women don't need a man. Black women are more represented in interracial relationships when it comes to the media, not just commercials. We're also talking about film. We're also talking about music. We're also talking about interviews. We're also talking about politics. We're also talking about, the way, like, depiction, right? And what we're seeing more of when it comes to black men is a lot of homosexuality, right? And I think that was what Marcus was talking about, this feminization of the black man, right? And if we're looking at history as like a progression, because this is important. Like, if we look at things as isolated incidents, we lose the bigger picture. Mm-hmm. It was, the drug epidemic, mass incarceration, over policing. We looked at government funding for separating homes. We look at
employment opportunities.
We look at like what people call incentivization, which is still debatable, of the separation of the black household. Right. That was step one. Now we're on step two of look at how much better off you can be if you just continue down this route. Yeah. Right. Look at your men. They prefer other men. Like, I know a few of y'all are in Atlanta, right? Like, what is the stereotype about black men in Atlanta?
I see more white men.
Not what your experience is. What is this?
What the narrative is? Yes.
Them niggas gay.
I don't think that narrative.
Or on the DL, right?
No, that's a huge narrative.
It is a huge narrative, and that's exactly why.
Okay, so I know that they say our population. I just want to clarify. I know that they say we have a high population, but I've never heard them say that it's black men. They just say it's a high population.
Black men and ST. Black men.
Not just being black men being homosexual, but also the tie to the HIV and AIDS,
STDs.
I've never heard that.
So
it's not to say it's not true.
But that's what I'm getting at, right? It's this progression to normalize that black families are not normal, right? And I think that's the thing that we need to start paying attention to and being really critical of is the things that we're seeing and what traditional households look like, because we've seen, like, what statistics show what the advantages are of having a traditional household. When we see these pushes for Black families to look non-traditional, we need to start being a little bit more critical of that. And like, although I don't agree with all of the criticisms of those photo shoots with Rihanna, I think it still fits into the narrative of normalizing a non-traditional Black household.
Man,
But you know what? I
so,
think that
let me tell you
picture.
something.
But let's just be honest, and you're right, because the way they did that layout. But when somebody made a point about how we're looking, I think it was a post, and I wish I had it. It was like saying, "Oh, Rihanna, unwed single mom number, baby number 2," and then somebody came under and said, "Are y'all saying the same thing about Travis Scott's baby mama?" And then you think about Eva Mendes, who has 2 of Ryan Gosling's kids. Nobody ever calls her the single, unwed woman. We don't.
You know what? There's 2 things about that. There's 2 things about that. Eva Mendes ain't out here rubbing on her stomach doing reveals and shit. That's first off. So to do it is one, to glorify it is another. We have a seriously bad.
We follow her. I don't know what she does.
Look, this is how I look at propaganda and any type of print media, any of this stuff. It's curated, right? So she could have done the exact same thing as any other Black woman or that's famous, but it's not selected and highlighted. The news, movies, there's a selection with a specific thought process. There's a casting for each individual person, and there's a specific reason for that. It's a movie, I believe it's called Ad Wars and it talks about the psychology behind advertising, and it's really mass manipulation, right? The colors, they talk about how different colors. Yeah, it's a science. They talk about how different colors will make you want to buy, how different colors can relax you. They do multiple testings on these things, how emblems work and all these things. And one of the things that was interesting in there, this movie is like 15, maybe 10 years old. The movie kicks off, and it was a fast food company trying to normalize the food not being good, right? So what they did was a body positivity campaign. Then, so the lady, she was bulimic and she got all these surgeries to be skinny. And then they said, no, you got to love your body at any size. This way before body positivity came out. So now they're promoting being overweight, so the fast food company could continue to push their product. Then the advertising company got another thing from a health food company or something like that. So now they were able to run a different narrative on how fast food kills you. Like all of these things, they work in the benefit of someone, right? And I always ask the question, whom is benefiting from a particular narrative?
But let me say this though. In white people's defense, when I grew up in the 90s, because I had a lot of white friends, I went to a white high school. A lot of those movies, like the Jerry Maguire, what's the one with the Kevin Costner? He saved the white girl who was the white woman who was a single mom. It was a lot of single white mom shows. And then the guy came in and saved the single mom. So they had it too.
Even still, that narrative is a man coming in and saving a woman, and they creating a good family. Our narrative ain't coming in and saving. Our narrative is
we need to be saved.
But not just that, Marcus. There's a specific narrative about what that white single mother looks like. She's always low income. She's always bottom of the totem pole, and
so he brought her up, like,
right? Exactly, right? She's not the most desirable, top of the echelon, daughter of a billionaire white woman. She's the quote unquote white trash.
So
right?
discouraging them from doing that, right? There's the discouragement from a white woman being a single mother per that news media. But then on the adverse, you encourage the black single mother because she's successful, living her best life as a boss who doesn't need a man. Like there's a specific thing being curated. And I'm not trying to be conspiratorial, but it's blaringly obvious.